My name is Kristin Smith, and my topic is measuring effectiveness of police organizations. Many of you may be wondering why I chose this topic, and there are several reasons listed below. The first is police organizations are highly scrutinized, whether it's the citizens where police serve, patrol officers, or internal upper management, or the media. People have differing opinions of how the police functioned and how they should function in the future and how they reacted to certain situations and whether it was appropriate or not. Police organizations are changing faster than ever before. So the focus has shifted to community policing, which is aiming to change crime-causing conditions by focusing on the community. This is really different than at any other point in history. Community policing focuses on greater police accountability, the public's interest in shared decision-making, and focuses on civil liberties and civil rights. Plans like Better Together are proposed in St. Louis. There are similar plans in other cities that are already adopted or proposed. And so this really shows how fast police organizations are changing. Police organizations also have different structures. Not all police organizations are structured the same. Positions and internal power structures vary between departments. So what that means is essentially what a patrol officer is able to do and allowed to do varies between departments. I really just wanted to get to the bottom line of effectiveness. So what does effectiveness mean for an organization like a police department? And is there a way to even measure performance at all? Police organizations tie into open systems. So organizations are goal-directed social entities according to DAFT. They're deliberately designed and linked to their environment. Open systems communicates ideas and information freely throughout the organization, but in closed systems, the barriers are different. They're not as penetrable. And so really the question was, what are police organizations and how does information flow through those organizations? The main part of my paper focused on measuring organizational effectiveness. To really understand this, we need to know what effectiveness is. So DAF defines effectiveness as having the correct strategies to achieve organizational goals. Now, that concept is a little complicated because people want different things from organizations. But in a police context, the concept is even more complicated because usually those in charge of an organization determine the organization's effectiveness. But in a police organization, the effectiveness is associated to the assessment of others because of the responsibility to serve communities, citizens, and ultimately serve the goal of justice. So that led me to the 7 dimensions of policing framework, which ended up being a tool in my OD toolbox because I searched through literature thinking there had to be a better way to measure the organizational effectiveness of police departments. The bottom line of policing is most often considered to be a reduction in crime. It can also be things like crime clearance rates, response times, productivity, but it's usually not citizen satisfaction. Literature suggests issues with reported crime statistics uh, because the measure should really be about preventing crime from actually happening. And most successful police organizations are left out of the reduction in reported crime statistics because they do prevent crime from happening altogether. So, in my paper, I propose broader frameworks to measure police department effectiveness, and that's when I propose the 7 dimensions of policing framework as one of the tools in my toolbox. Uh, an OD consultant could use the 7 dimensions of policing framework tool to diagnose how the organization's currently performing and identify problem areas, and could also propose solutions to police organizations. The OD consultant could use the approach to measure the department against others, which is called benchmarking, which was my other OD tool in my toolbox, not covered in this presentation. So the 7 elements of the policing framework are listed here on this slide. The first element focuses on reducing crime and victimization. Now, that dimension or element is more of the traditional measure of police effectiveness. So it's interesting that the framework doesn't get rid of the traditional measures of police effectiveness, it just expands on them. If you look at the other dimensions of policing, numbers 2 through 7, quality service and customer satisfaction dips more into the community policing model and looks more to crime prevention rather than crime reduction. This assignment helped me understand how to evaluate a business using OD tools. So my career will be as an attorney. I will probably have many business clients that rely on me to evaluate certain aspects of their organization. Businesses often consult lawyers once there's a problem, so my job will be to diagnose issues and implement solutions, just as I'm proposing in my paper. And the bottom line is there's really no consensus in literature regarding the measurement of police effectiveness, but there is a consensus that police organizations are open systems focused on community policing. So I think community policing is a more recent model for police organizations, and I think as this model ages, there will be more frameworks and more measurements toward measuring police effectiveness. And the 7 dimensions of policing is really just one way to go about doing that. So I think you will see more of that in the future.